The honourable member for Saskatoon West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a pleasure I rise today in full support of the motion to designate June as Filipino Heritage Month in Canada. As a member for Saskatoon West, I'm proud to represent many constituents of Filipino descent. The Filipino community in Saskatoon, indeed in Saskatchewan, and all throughout Canada have enriched our cultural diversity, worked and volunteered beside us, contributed to our joint community building projects, generously offered their leadership in times of need, and have become our friends and neighbours. In fact, the 2016 Canadian Census tells us that Saskatchewan has over 20,000 Tagalog speakers, one of the official languages of the Philippines, an increase of over 123% since 2011. Specifically in Saskatoon, of the residents who identified themselves as immigrants in that census, nearly 1/4 hailed from the Philippines. That is 10,000 strong and growing. The 2016 census shows the Tagalog language as an immigrant language is most commonly spoken on the prairies. 20,000 plus people list it as their mother tongue, 2% of the population, and over 11,000 people say it's the language they most commonly speak at home. In Saskatoon, Tagalog now ranks behind English as the second most common mother tongue. According to the most recent annual report of the IRCC, the Philippines is Canada's top source country for new permanent residents, PRs, with over 42,000, almost 14% of new permanent residents. This has been the case every year since 2013. I'm extremely proud of the Filipino-Canadian community in my riding who have contributed so much to our shared economic prosperity in Saskatchewan, while at the same time building a better life for themselves and their families. I'm proud to represent the residents of the Saskatoon Confederation Park neighbourhood, and it is with extra pride that I say this neighbourhood includes the largest population of Filipinos in my city. Of course, at one time, the community was much smaller, but that didn't deter Rose Lascamana and her family, who 10 years ago opened a Filipino store targeted at the small but growing community. It is this type of leadership and forward thinking and risk-taking by Rose and many, many others who built up a business and while doing so, built up our community. It's through these efforts of local Filipino-Canadian business owners that Saskatoon was able to welcome newcomers from the Philippines with open arms. So thank you to Rose and her husband JR for your venture, the Global Pinoy Food Store, for believing in our community to grow and prosper, and congratulations for 10 years of service to our community. Madam Speaker, one of my favorite things to do as an MP is to attend citizenship ceremonies in my riding. And during my constituent week in October, I got to attend not one, but two. Both were, of course, very special, but one was extra special for a couple of reasons. First, it was Citizenship Week in Canada. Second, we were gathered at the wonderful Saskatoon Farmers Market, and I want to thank Erica Queering, the operations manager at the Saskatoon Farmers Market, for hosting us. And third, the Institute for Canadian Citizenship organized an opportunity for me and other community leaders to host table conversations with our brand new citizens. I met Ivan and his family from Iran, and Rachel, who was there with her sister. Rachel was nervous and shy, but very happy to be getting her citizenship, and happy, of course, to be together again with her sister and other extended family. Rachel came to Canada from the Philippines as a live-in caregiver. She had waited many, many years to get her citizenship. And it was wonderful to share that day with her, and it reminded me of the many women that come to my constituency office for help, who are raising other people's children, having come to Canada, many from the Philippines as live-in caregivers, the women whose children are growing up without their mother, who are working hard to earn money so that one day they can be reunited with their own children, who, like Rachel, dream of one day attending their own citizenship ceremony. The NDP have been long champions for the Filipino community, and my colleague from Vancouver East has continued those efforts. One of the most important yet invisible contributions of the Filipino Canadians is the many ways in which Filipino caregivers help raise our children and run our households. In 1992, some 75,000 Filipinos have become permanent residents of Canada through the federal government's caregiver program. The sales pitch was hard to resist. Help raise our children for 2 years and we'll reunite you with yours and give everyone a shot at permanent residency. Last year alone, some 23,000 Filipinos came to Canada under this program, but it's become a victim of its own success. In 2015, the backlog of applications for permanent residency was 17,600 names long. Citizenship and Immigration promised swift action and announced plans to expedite the approvals process. But for many, the wait, which now averages over 50 months, and that's after 2 years of employment, is torture. At home, their kids are growing up without them, and with rock-bottom wages in the Philippines, going back just isn't a viable option. And with the recent announcement by the federal government that the program will end in 2019, these women are understandably very concerned. It's not a secret that women who are employed through the caregiver program are vulnerable and sometimes face harsh working conditions for very little pay. At the same time, they're isolated and far away from their homes and families. Most of them don't get to see their children for many years. Yet they come and work under conditions that most of us would find trying, all for a chance at a better life. The least we can do is offer them better workplace protection and pathways to permanent residency in a process that's clear, stable, and not fraught with delays or uncertainty. Certainly, currently, the average application processing time for living caregivers is 4.5 years. The NDP is calling on the government to take immediate action to end the backlogs and processing delays that are keeping an estimated 40,000 living caregivers from reuniting with their families. We've always believed that if you're good enough to work here, you're good enough to stay. I hope that in addition to celebrating Filipino Heritage Month next year, the federal government will also be modernizing our immigration policies and processes and giving priority for reuniting families. Madam Speaker, all around my community, I see the good works brought about by members of the Filipino community, and their efforts are supported by residents from all different backgrounds. I was proud to participate in the Flores de Mayo Fiesta celebration, which last year raised funds for the Filipino Heritage School in Saskatoon, who is celebrating their 25th anniversary in 2017. Founded in 1996, the Filipino Heritage School is dedicated to preserving Filipino language and culture, strengthening unity within the community, and promoting intercultural understanding. The school's success is a collaborative effort of parents and families and teachers collectively working together to teach Filipino language and culture. The Filipino-Canadian Association of Saskatoon, or FILCAS, is a vibrant community organization in the city, serving as sort of the mother of all Filipino organizations in the city, and is the lead organizer of major Filipino-Canadian activities, such as the June 12th Philippine Independence Day, sports tournament, and the Filipino-Canadian annual Christmas party. Since the inception of Saskatoon Folk Fest, for 36 years, FILCAS has hosted the Filipino Pavilion, showcasing Filipino arts and culture and promoting Filipino heritage for all of us to enjoy. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge this year's Filipino Folk Fest Pavilion ambassadors, Hilbert and Grace Macadag, and Youth Pavilion ambassadors Julian Florida and Jada Ho for their warm welcome to my visit to the pavilion this year. It's been an honor for me, Madam Speaker, as the Member of Parliament, to attend ANCOP, Answering the Cry of the Poor fundraising walk for the past 2 years. This year they celebrated their 5th walk in Saskatoon and their 15th in Canada. The money raised in Saskatoon walks has supported 35 sponsored children to go to school and have built 30 houses in the Saskatchewan village in the Philippines. My community and I are proud to honor the many contributions of Filipino Canadians in Saskatoon. In closing, Madam Speaker, I must continue with the accolades to the Filipino community in Saskatoon. I only wish I had more time, as the list is longer than the time allows. I want to congratulate the University of Saskatchewan Filipino Student Association, who are honored this year with the prestigious University of Saskatchewan Vera Pezer Award for Student Enhancement as a Campus Group of the Year, And last, but certainly not least, I want to send a special shout out to the many Filipino Canadians working and caring as healthcare workers in my community, many of whom are proud members of the Service Employees International Union, SEIU West. President Barb Cape and the members of SEIU West are not only a great union, but also outstanding community partners supporting many, many local Filipino events and cultural celebrations. And so, Madam Speaker, I look forward.
Unfortunately.